Hey everybody, it's Jimmy and Bill. So today's video is about, should you buy a house now or should you wait? That's the question. Like, you see a lot of people saying, hey, it's not a good time, wait for rates to go back down. And some people are saying wait till they go back down to 3%. And in my opinion, I'm not a financial analyst, but I think it's going to be almost years, if ever, it's going to go back down to 3%, the interest rates. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Let's just look back at numbers before we went down to that 2.5% to 3% interest rates and stuff. That was the first time in recorded history that I'm aware of anyway, I could be wrong, but that I've seen that we had interest rates like that. So thinking that they're going to go back down again is kind of a stretch.
So basically, if the reason why you're on the fence is because of interest rates, my opinion, and you're saying, okay, I'm going to wait till rates go back down to like 3-4%, you might be waiting, I don't know, 7-10 years, if ever. So it depends. How long do you want to wait to go and buy a house? And right. But I think if rates drop, say to 5%, 5.5%, I think that's going to be the new frenzy.
Of course. So, you know, with the rates where they're at right now, it's staving people off from purchasing a home. But in our area here, local Tampa Bay, you know, Wesley Chapel, Trinity, Clearwater, Dunedin, we're still seeing equity gains in our local market. So now if you see interest rates start to drop, then we're going to get back into, we're already kind of there, believe it or not, with some multiple offers situations again, because you are going to see a frenzy. We get back down to that 5.5% interest rate like we were, you know, before 2019, which was our average interest rate for the better part of a decade.
Right.
You're going to start to see the frenzy of people out buying again. And then that's going to drive the prices back up, and you're going to have the overbidding like we did before.
And plus, the inventory is right now is still low, so that's going to, you know, cause, you know, supply and demand.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're holding off because of interest rates and waiting for them to come back down, I don't think that's a good, me personally, I don't think that's a good game plan.
Right. Everybody's situation's a little bit different, obviously. If you're looking at it from, maybe you've got to relocate, you know, that's a different situation.
Right.
You know, you're kind of in that, do you want to rent or do you want to buy something? Obviously, if you're renting, you're paying somebody else's mortgage off.
Here's another thing. If you're planning to move to an area and be there for a long time, and you already know the area and you say, no, this is going to be the area, maybe it's a good time to buy. Because say you buy a house at $300,000 and then you're living in the house and it drops down to $225,000, okay? You don't lose the $75,000 equity until you sell. So if you're not planning to sell for a while, because say it dips down, but then you're 5 years later, it goes back up, you're just riding the wave. So it all depends. Is it a good time to buy a house? How long you plan to be in the house? What do you think on that one?
I agree. You know, taking into consideration your plan, which is important. You know, like I said before, trying not to, you know, rent necessarily. If you're going to be in the house 3, 5, 6, 7 years, maybe, you know, if you're on that 3-year mark, renting might be better if you're not going to stay, you know, in the home for a length of time. But if you're going to plan on staying in your house 5 years or more, you really kind of start balancing out.
Is it worth it? Yeah, because even if prices drop, it doesn't matter. It's like owning stocks. If the stocks drop, if you don't sell, you don't lose anything.
You don't lose, exactly.
So, you know, that's the other thing. And it all depends on the area too. So if you're trying to buy in an area that is heavy insurance, like flood insurance, you know, you got to keep that stuff in mind too, because if you're buying along the seashores, you know, hurricane prone areas, then that could drive you out of the house.
Right, even some of our areas that aren't necessarily on the coast, people have to take into, you know, that into consideration. Some of which is Florida, we're flat.
Right.
And, you know, we have wetlands here, and we have just flat areas that tend to flood in general when we get large amounts of rain. So, you know, they're not coastal flood zones, but they're still flood zones that we're going to require flood insurance, which is an additional expense.
Right. So, yes, you might be planning to stay at a place for a long time, but if you pick the wrong place and then you don't realize the hidden expenses like insurance, you know, flood insurance, depending on what happens, then yeah, then you could be in trouble, because say you buy 300,000 and it drops down to 25,000, it drops down a little bit of value, and then you get hit with insurance and realize you can't afford it, then yes, you're in trouble. So I would look at the area that you're buying and try to figure out if it's doable financially. Let's talk about affordability, okay? If it's a good time for you to buy now or wait. Do you have a down payment? Do you have a good down payment? Are you going to wipe out your savings once you put the down payment down on the house? Are you going to be, is your job secure? Are you going to be, you know, living paycheck to paycheck? Are you going to be living for the mortgage? So that's one of the things you have to consider. What do you think?
Well, let's touch on affordability.
Okay.
So kind of playing off of the interest rates as well. So when you're looking at affordability, like we've discussed on many occasions,
right,
you know, try not to purchase a house that's at the top of your budget. Get a little bit low, because there's going to be those unexpected things, right?
Right.
But as far as affordability goes, you know, what I hear from different consultations that I have with customers is, well, I'm waiting for the crash. And then I'm waiting for the crash.
But what if the crash never comes?
And I've been hearing this for a couple years, and it's always this snowball that just never grows, and it keeps just getting pushed to the next month and the next month. It's, you know, but what we're starting to see here is the correction has happened. You know, we went through the inflection point, now we've seen a correction happen.
Right.
And, you know, just because you see something on the public sites that says that a house was listed at 400,000, and then 3 months later the price has been reduced, you know, down to 350, well, take this into consideration, that maybe that house shouldn't have been listed at 400 to begin with. That's not a crash. So that's an adjustment.
So the thing you should be asking yourself is not when is the market going to crash so I could buy at the bottom. You should be asking yourself, can I afford it?
Right. Let's just look at affordability, period. Because right now, honestly, just in our local market here, we're starting to see equity gains locally.
Yeah, that's true.
Very, very little, but we're not going negative, and we're starting to do a slight uptick over the last couple of months.
But what do you say to everybody that watches all the videos of saying, hey, the market's going to crash, don't buy?
I can't predict, so I don't know how they're predicting, and maybe they're getting data from different spots, but I'm looking at all the same data that they are, and from the banks and the Mortgage Brokers Association and everything else that we get info from. So I just don't see it in our market. I'm not reporting on our, you know, a national market. I'm looking at our market.
No, I get it. I mean,
maybe
like,
that's why they're saying that, because they're looking at a national market overall.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's the key.
So the big thing is affordability. Really ask yourself, can you afford to buy now, or should you wait?
Right.
That's the important thing. Here's another one. In my opinion, if you're looking to buy a house and you're not 100% sure if you could afford it, why don't you check out the rents in the same area? So if the rents for basically what you're looking for, say it's $2,500 a month, and your mortgage is coming out to $2,500 a month, then it's kind of a no-brainer. Why pay somebody else's mortgage when the same amount of money will cover your mortgage? What do you think?
I agree. So I hate to say the word, but you're kind of you could potentially be throwing money away if you're in the position to purchase a home. You know, I've rented. I know a lot of my friends have rented. We've all rented at some point in time in our lives. And for one reason or another, that's why it's very situational in my opinion on whether you should rent or buy. However, if you can buy and you're looking at renting versus buying or staying in your rental as an example, you're still paying that, you know, maybe a little bit, ever so slight amount of your monthly payment on your mortgage is going to go to principal, but it's still going to your principal, and you're gaining equity on top of that, you know, year over year on your property.
Right.
So it makes more sense to purchase a home.
It makes more sense to purchase a home if the rent is equal to the mortgage, but say...
Or greater. Right now,
yeah,
some of these rents are ridiculous.
Or greater, because the people that are renting have to cover their taxes, they have to cover their mortgage.
Yeah. Insurance, everything.
But in your area, if you're saying your mortgage is going to be, in your situation, say it's going to be $3,000, and the rents in your area for the same kind of house is $2,000, that's a savings of $1,000 a month. So maybe renting is better for you until you're comfortable.
Right, but let's look at it this way. Okay. So you're saving $2,000 a month. So that's, or I thought you said $1,000 a month.
You're saving $1,000 a month.
So $1,000 a month, you're saving $12,000 a year. Right. So let's just take a $400,000 house at 2% equity growth, which is pretty much the average, roughly, in our area. And you're at $8,000. So in a couple years, you know, plus you're paying your, you know, your principal down on your mortgage. So how close to that 12,000 are you getting? You know, and you can sit down and actually do the math, because it'll be situational based, obviously, but just take that into consideration and think about that. Like, how much are you actually saving when you're going, well, I'm saving $1,000 a month.
By renting.
Renting. It might break it down to $400 a month by the time it's all said and done.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. It's true. I mean, everybody's situation is different, and it depends on your down payment too. Say you might be buying a $300,000 house, but you might have $200,000 to put down on it.
Right. So, or you put $100,000 and you're only financing $200.
Yeah.
You know, so, and you're putting your money to work for you, and you're not going to lose that.
So yeah, it's just something else to consider. So the last thing I would consider, in my opinion, is job security. Is your job secure? Because even though you love your job, maybe the company's not secure. Maybe, you know, they're having a hard time. So, you know, there's whispers of people getting laid off. Maybe that's not a good time to buy a house. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you're self-employed and you've been self-employed for years, and you're a plumber, electrician, and you have more work than you could handle. And a recession won't affect that because everybody always needs that stuff. Things break.
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just spoke with a customer the other day, kind of in a tough situation, and you know, they're independent contractors, but they're long-term contractors for, you know, state and local governments, and because of the economy in that specific state, they ended up getting laid off.
Oh wow!
So, you know, totally unexpected. This was a contracted 3-year job. This individual's been doing stuff for many years, tons of experience, and they just closed the entire program down. So those things can happen, and you just don't know. But he's got enough of a nest egg to support him and get him passed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, those are things, and that also makes you look better to a creditor too, if you've got a nest egg. When, you know, it comes to looking, you know, getting your mortgage, your mortgage and stuff. So,
right.
You know, that you've got, and it makes you feel a lot better because you have the ability to pay, you know, if something bad were to happen like that. You know, so just put a little bit of money aside.
Yeah.
Things that break in the house, you know, potentially maintenance, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So basically, you know, one of the last things I would consider is job stability and income and savings.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is today's video. As always, we greatly appreciate you guys watching. Do me a favor, if you consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification so you're notified next time we upload a video. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Have a great day.
Thanks. See you next time.